Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Turin here with another Warhammer Total War online commentary. In this particular battle, I will be playing the Dwarves, and I'm going to be facing off against the Beastmen. So not only is this one of my favorite matchups, it's a lot of fun, and also, gives Slayers an excuse to be very effective, but also I really like this map. I guess I just like those maps where it kind of forces you into this really head-to-head engagement here. So regardless, quick rundown of the army composition. So front line of Longbeards. Again, these guys are great. Not only do they encourage nearby troops, but they also have charge defense against large foes. So against the Beastmen, that pretty much includes most of their roster with Minotaurs, with Gorbals, with the Cygor doesn't, have a massive charge bonus per se, but regardless, Chaos Spawn, there's another example there, but they're pretty good against the Beastmen. They're shielded, armored, really tough, high leadership, just all around solid unit. Got some Correlers back here. These guys, I accidentally got the great weapons again. I always do that, but hey, if they get jumped by the one Bestigor herd they have over here, those armor-piercing weapons won't hurt. And then Irondrakes. This is my new favorite unit against the Beastmen. These guys are just so solid. They do tons of damage, and they kind of like, if you can get them in a pocket where you have, Longbeards here, Longbeards back here, and just have them sit in this pocket and shoot for most of the battle, they're just so cost-effective. They can just absolutely destroy Cygors, just all kinds of big units. Really a huge fan of Irondrakes with the Trollhammer torpedoes. Longbeards back here, Slayers back here. Of course, I don't really need to explain, but they're so good against most Beastmen units. My opponent just got a nice hit with that Cygor there, taking out a good 25% of that Quarreler group. Slayers, and in the back, I just had some extra resources, so I decided to just get some miners with blasting charges. I think I had like 450 or something, or how much ever they cost, and I just decided to get them. So, of course, I have the Slayer King. He is just absolutely awesome. He's a melee expert, armor piercing, and charge defense against large foes, which is excellent against the Beastmen for the same reasons that I was explaining earlier. So, very, very solid there. And then, of course, I have a Thane in the front line. So wherever he sends his Gorbel, I usually like to send the Thane and just have him get in there and, do his work against him. And then, of course, a Runesmith. So he's got his Pimp Hammer here. He's ready to get in there and lay the smackdown. But regardless, he's going to provide all these troops with decent buffs. If you see their leadership and their melee attack is all buffed by having him nearby. So it's very, very solid. Then I also got a single gyrocopter with the Brimstone gun. I don't like to overload on these too much, but I figure one with the anti-large armor-piercing missiles is going to be pretty good. And I usually just stick it on a Cygor, and that in conjunction with the Irondrake torpedoes is going to be pretty good. So my opponent did use a Traderkin there, but regardless, if he's using his Winds of Magic on this, I'm completely fine with that rather than him getting some sort of massive debuff or, buffing his troops with something or other. So just my 2 cents there. So my opponent, he has a front line of Ungor Spearmen with shields, so it looks like he was planning for some missile fire. He has Bestigor herds here, Gore herds here, which are very, very good against missiles, very cost-effective as well at only 500 resources. Ungor Spearmen's back here. He has Minotaurs with the great weapons, so I don't know why he got these. They do have anti-large, and they are armor-piercing, so the armor-piercing is very relevant, but even if you get the shielded Minotaurs with without great weapons, they're going to be shielded. So against the Dwarves, that's very, very good. And Dwarves don't usually bring large stuff, so they're not going to be the most cost-effective. Regardless, they do look really freaking cool with those battle axes. So he did summon a second Cygor, which is very good against the Dwarves. You can see how one Cygor shot almost decimated one of my Quarreler groups. He has Chaos Spawn here, which are pretty good against Dwarves. Again, a lot of Dwarvish troops are armored, though, and they don't have armor piercing, so the armor is going to be quite effective against them, but regardless, they still do hit like trucks and apply poison, so then another Gore herd over here. So and for his leadership, he has Malagor the Dark Omen, he has a Gorbel in here, rocking the double potions, and I believe in the forest he has some Centaurs with great weapons, which is a great choice, no pun intended, but they do have armor piercing, they're very fast, and can get around Dwarven flanks very easily, so very good choice on my opponent's part there. So let's go ahead and get started. So I immediately sick these gyrocopters on that Cygor, and you can see they're starting to do a little bit of damage to it and wearing it down. Not a ton, but it adds up over the course of the battle because they're just going to sit here and essentially be uncontested unless he wants to use more Winds of Magic. So again, I had to advance. He had the siege superiority, so I had no choice. So I advanced in a pretty typical formation, I would say, for the Dwarves. Just, front line of Longbeards, and I have my auxiliary here, so if he tries some funny business or tries to get around my flanks, these guys in the back can then fan out here, they can fan out here, they can turn and defend, so it's definitely nice. So I get my Quarrelers, I just have them open fire on the Cygor, and you can see they're already doing good damage, as the Cygors don't have a lot of armor, so no complaints there. And then you can see the Trollhammer torpedoes. Look at the damage on that. It is so awesome. It's pretty much destroyed already, and with a few more rounds from this gyrocopter here, and it's going to get put down. So very good choice here. So we engage in the front line. The Longbeards are engaged with his Gore Herds and, you know, other low-tier troops, but it's definitely a good matchup for me because I have the Thane, and you can see Ungrim's coming in here, and once he gets through the ranks, and he's going to just absolutely demolish his best Gore Herd. So, you know, you want to identify where your opponent plugs in his elite troops, and as the Dwarfs use Ungrim, but he does see this, and you can see him just sick everything on Ungrim. He comes in hard with the Gorbel and the Chaos Spawn and all of that stuff, so definitely tough. But you can see that Quarreler fire as well as the Iron Drakes. They took out that Cygor and sent it off the battlefield, which is great. So he does come around and try and flank with these Centaurs, and so I do pull my Miners over here, and I know the Miners are very low tier, so I should have just left them here. And, you know, not brought the Slayers over, because then my opponent using the speed, and these guys are extremely fast. They have 91 speed. It's going to be very hard to keep up with them, unfortunately. So, regardless, I did drive off and kill that one Cygor. You guys can see it back here, and in the front line, things are going well. My opponent uses the Devolve, which has been, you know, substantially nerfed, but regardless, it's still not bad. So my opponent does get a good rear charge, and I didn't see him slip away because it kind of was blended in here. So he does a very good job getting on these Quarrelers with great weapons, and they're just getting devastated. So, you know, like I usually do, I keep auxiliary troops kind of near the back. I should have just kept them back here. That was a huge blunder on my part. So I pulled them back, but regardless, you know, I have my Iron Drakes taking some shots at these guys, and, you know, it's not a, you know, a strength matchup per se, but they still do get a few of them. And then at this point, I was now aware of the situation. I just left these Longbeards back here, so no complaints there. So my firing line is able to get, you know, front and center, and they're going to just start teeing off in this Gorbel and these Chaos Spawn. And Chaos Spawn are large units, so these Iron Drakes are just going to absolutely destroy them. So I noticed that my center line was faltering. My opponent had the Chaos Spawn and the Minotaurs and all that stuff, so I pulled the Slayers in, and the Slayers are going to get in there and just tie up this Gorbel, which is exactly what they're designed to do. And then Ungrim will get in there, so this Gorbel, and he's going to be taking this Torpedo fire, and you can see these Chaos Spawn are just getting pummeled here. So, man, I really love these Iron Drakes against the Beastmen. You can see them just almost, you know, two-shotting that Gorbel. It's at, what, like 10-15% now, and they're just continuing to shoot with the Quarrelers, and my auxiliary troops did a very good job. I just had them back here and had them engaged against these Centaurs with great weapons. Centaurs will do okay, but again, Longbeards are just so sturdy, and they can last forever, so not bad at all. So in the front line, those Torpedoes and the Slayers just crushed those Minotaurs and Gorbels there. And unfortunately, he does take advantage of his speed and does get through. But the Slayers, you know, they just finished cleaning up the front, so they have no problem getting back here. And for Dwarves, again, they are very fast, so I like to use them as a sweeper unit to just kind of plug in as needed. And poor Longbeards are trying to keep up with those Centaurs, but they're so darn fast. And, you know, he's doing a very good job. That's a good strategy. Against the Dwarves, you just want to get cavalry and just cycle charge in circles around their ranks. So you don't want to get tied up, so, you know, charge, run around, you know, charge this group over here and just force them to run in circles after you. So, and he does charge into my Iron Drakes. They are very sturdy. They do have 120 armor. Granted, these guys do have armor piercing, so it's definitely not, you know, ideal, but they're a very tough unit. You know, even the Dwarven ranged units are very strong. You can see I've taken several charges with these Quarrelers and Iron Drakes. So they're still in good shape. So as far as the melee line goes, it's very close. He does have these Minotaurs with great weapons in here. His low-tier infantry did break, however, and, you know, my Dwarves, I had several groups of Longbeards who had, like, 8 to 10 models left, and they were just still fighting. So it's just a testament to their strength, and now that the Slayers got in here with the anti-large, they're able to chase those guys off. And then you see the Iron Drakes just continuing to shoot, generate huge value. I mean, look at that. It is just so good against the Beastmen. But again, you have to have a strategy that protects them. So having that tight-knit formation where you have the Longbeards, ranged units, auxiliary, and then a sweeper unit. That's kind of like my general strategy with the Dwarfs. So the auxiliary is pulled to plug into, you know, growing threats, and then you have the sweeper units to really cover you in those binds. And having these Brimstone guns was pretty good. I mean, they're whittling down large units throughout the game. So this is kind of the last battle over here. My opponent had some troops that came back from route, so I pull some Longbeards, and the Rune. You can see the Runesmith is in the mix, who's been buffing throughout the game with the Rune of Negation and the I forget the other one that provides armor, and just doing great work. So, you know, this is a good matchup for me. These are just low tier infantry, and my missile units are still just firing at this Cygor over here. And now you can see the Iron Drakes here are just gonna, on their next volley, I don't know if they get it. There's only about 10 seconds left in the game, but yeah, they fire, and you can see it just going down hard, and now it's shattered. The Slayers are on it, so, you know, that was pretty much the end of the day for the poor beasts there. But again, I'm just a huge fan of those Iron Drakes. I really like them against the Beastmen. Granted, you know, it is very tough to keep them alive. His composition wasn't that bad against them, but if he had invested in, you know, maybe not brought the Chaos Spawn, because they're not very good against Dwarves in my opinion, and if he had brought, you know, 2 more groups of Centaurs, You guys saw that rear charge he had in the beginning and how truly devastating that was. I mean, he almost, decimated a group of Quarrelers, and the other one took, Sigor damage. But if he had had 2 or 3 of those and just came in, and he might have been able to sweep up both my Quarrelers, and I would have had a lot of trouble maneuvering. Granted, if he had had more, I might have been more cognizant of it, but still, I just think the Chaos Spawn wasn't a good investment, and having the shielded Minotaurs would have been helpful as well. But other than that, his army composition was pretty good. He had a nice combination of shields in the front line, and then he had some damage dealers in these Bestigors and these Minotaurs, so it definitely wasn't a bad comp. But the Drakes did pretty well, and paid off at the end of the day. So really good game to my opponent. Had a lot of fun, and just thanks for the good game. And appreciate your support, guys. More content coming soon, and of course more Dwarf content coming. Definitely one of my favorite factions here, so really looking forward to it. Have a great night, guys, and thanks again. Take care.